Hello and welcome to the CFA's latest In Conversation podcast. This podcast is for investment professionals that are focusing on topics that really matter in the profession today. This episode of In Conversation is brought to you by the IMC. I'm Olivia Wingrove, a senior portfolio manager at LGT Wealth Management, and today I'll be chatting with my colleague and fellow IMC holder, Pia Farooq, who joined me at LGT in 2022 after interning with us as part of the CFA UK's Young Women in Investment programme. Pia, I'd be very interested to hear about your journey into the industry and also whether you had heard about the IMC before you started.
Thank you for having me. I started my journey back in 2022. It was early November. I recently graduated from the University of Exeter, and the first thing I saw was an invitation to be a part of the Young Women in Investments program, which was organized by the CFA. It was a pilot program. It was very interesting. I just moved to London, so I was looking to make friends with other like-minded individuals. And then through that program, I was introduced to LGT, and I was part of the internship program. And then shortly after, I was recruited as a trainee analyst in the equity research team. It was something I was specializing in, so what the job was basically pretty much exactly what I wanted to do. Moving forward, I had heard of the IMC before because while I was job hunting or applying for graduate programs, I did meet up with lots of people working in the industry, and they did talk about the IMC, so it was not something that was very new to me. It was something that a lot of industry specialists and experts thought was very important, especially for people just entering the industry with basic skills. It was something that was needed to understand the regulatory environment on top of having the technical skills needed for working in investments. So yeah, that's how it started.
That's interesting. I mean, I also kind of graduated from Exeter probably a few years before you. But it's interesting, isn't it? Because I didn't find that the IMC was something that was spoken about too much within kind of graduate circles, but actually it's such an important part of when you first join the industry.
Yeah.
It's something that most companies like LGT are, very keen for you to do kind of very early on within your
exactly,
career.
Because universities tend to focus on the technical aspects of knowing, how to make a DCF, how to do a PE multiple, stuff like that, just basic course knowledge. However, the IMC was quite focused on the regulatory side of things, which is quite important as well. You need to know, what regulations are in Europe, what regulations hold up in the UK. And then that's pretty much, it kind of forms the basic needs of tending to clients, etc. So I thought that was a very unique take with the IMC.
And we'll come on to it, but obviously the IMC is, a very helpful level 4 qualification, and it's often used as a kind of precursor to the CFA.
Yes.
I mean, how helpful have you found the IMC?
It was quite helpful.
Kind of that journey?
Yeah, there were two units to it. So the first unit was more regulations, and the second unit, which was investment management, was like, I'd say it was very good at helping me form that foundation to taking up the CFA. So it covered a lot of core concepts that you really need to be able to understand, level 1 in its entirety. So I thought it was quite helpful in helping me also get the discipline to study for level 1. So I thought that was very, very important.
Yeah, I think it's also just about kind of going into the world of work while also studying for exams,
basically,
which is definitely a different skill to studying for exams at university, isn't it?
It's like massive amounts of discipline that you need.
Yeah, I mean, so in terms of taking the IMC, what was sort of your biggest takeaway, kind of biggest positive change that you kind of gained from it?
I definitely felt I was more confident in taking up the CFA, and then also confident in knowing my material when I was walking into bigger meetings or contributing in team meetings as well. So I thought that was quite helpful.
So obviously you've been at LGT for a number of years now, but I'm interested as to how you kind of enrolled within the programs. Was that something you did yourself, or is it something that the firm is supported with?
So at LGT, we're really lucky to have a professionalism and training and development team. They were quite proactive early in my career in helping me enroll into the IMC program. However, I'd be happy to fund it myself as well if I was someone starting off as a fresh graduate or a fresh intern. It was a very smooth journey. There were regular check-ins as well. Even after I passed, they were very, very happy about it. And there was like, as soon as I passed, it was like, all right, on to the next level, try to get you through these exams as soon as possible. But it was a very, I think even just enrolling myself onto the courses online on the official CFA page was quite smooth. It was very easy to navigate. Definitely the ease of enrolling into these exams makes it attractive as well.
Yeah. And it's nice, isn't it? Because there's a bit of a cohort of people
Exactly,
at the firm who are studying for the exams, different stages of the process. But it's nice to be able to study together after work.
Exactly, and it's very nice to know that the firm is quite supportive and having almost all their trainees do these exams. It's so good to see young people starting off their career, especially in investments, have the same base and knowledge, and then grow from there. So it's very nice to know that we have a firm that's quite supportive in that.
So if you were to give a piece of advice to somebody who is considering taking the IMC, or if anything, they might be considering skipping it and going straight to the CFA, I mean, what would your advice be?
So like I said earlier, a lot of people working in finance, a lot of industry experts recommended it to me before I even joined the industry, and I think it's something good to have on your CV because it helps you stand out in a bigger group of candidates. I thought having the IMC just shows that you're quite motivated to, polishing your skills, and then helps you be more competitive. So I thought that was quite helpful.
I think many firms like LGT, but also a lot of our competitors in the wealth management space, they consider the IMC as sort of a regulatory paper that you sit. So even if some people find that they might have the CFA, but then they have to go and do a gap fill and do the IMC, which obviously most people don't really want to do after doing the CFA. So it's definitely the sort of natural progression, isn't it? To start with the IMC. So how have you found that progression, actually, kind of going from the IMC and now you're well in your way to doing the CFA? You've done level 1 and I think you're studying for level 2.
Yes.
You're very much in the thick of it. How are you finding it?
It was really good for motivation because you learn how to balance work and studying, and then also you want to balance having a social life or doing other things. But the IMC was really good at making me basically telling me that I can do all three things at the same time. And that's something that you kind of take with you into the CFA journey. So I thought it was really good at helping me manage my time. So in terms of discipline, the IMC was quite good.
It's good as well, isn't it? Because it gives you a very broad overview of kind of financial markets, and particularly because, of course, not everybody comes from a background of having studied a financial degree.
Yes.
A lot of people come into the industry without any prior knowledge, and therefore the IMC acts as a really good kind of base level.
It did. It did a really good job at helping you build that base, or the building blocks for very, very technical information or concepts that are needed in level 1. So I thought and then not just level 1, but I thought there were some concepts that I learned in the IMC which has been really helpful in understanding concepts in level 2 as well. So I think the IMC is quite broad based,
and they do help you they do build on each other as well.
Yes, they do. So it's like a very good base.
Yeah. And then kind of as you progress through the qualifications, they kind of build on each other and go into further detail, particularly kind of the jump between level 2 and 1. It's sort of...
Exactly, yeah. I remember there was some concepts in economics, which was, because I have an economics degree, I remember doing it in the IMC, and I remember thinking, oh, this is really interesting. I never thought of it that way. And then all of this built up to more, in-depth technical elements in level 1 and level 2. So I thought it was very, very good at helping me grasp that understanding quicker because I already had that base. So yeah, I would say the IMC was very good at helping me prepare for the study itself.
And in terms of kind of your broader career so far, I mean, obviously we've both been at LGT for about 2.5 years now. Any kind of career highlights, milestones that you would think about?
So starting off, the biggest achievement was obviously passing level 1. A lot of hard work goes into that. So seeing congratulations, you've just passed was just amazing. And then that obviously moves into being promoted. I started off as a trainee, and then I was made associate a month ago. So that was really nice to see.
So it's great to sort of see your kind of tangible career progression as you kind of progress through the qualifications. And I remember it as well. I mean, it wasn't that long ago for me, but I remember I had a mentor very early days in my career who said to me, you know, you're about to kind of embark on a number of years of exams, and it's very easy to kind of lose sight of the progress you're making because you're so focused on that end goal, achieving the CFA, which seems kind of so distant when you start.
And then also what you have these tangible achievements that you get, but then also along the way you start realizing that your confidence is getting much better. You feel like you're able to understand more technical things at work. You're like, oh, I finally understand it. It's because there was a concept covered in either the IMC or the CFA. So all that actually helps build up confidence that you need to actually do your job better. And then that's what helps you move forward and do better in level 2 and then level 3. So I think that apart from just being promoted, you see that you're actually adding value to your team in a different way.
And I guess in terms of progressing through the qualifications, starting with the IMC and now going on into the CFA, are you finding that the knowledge you're gaining from the qualifications is actually useful in the day job?
Yes, I've actually come across lots of different concepts in both level 1 and level 2, the IMC as well, that have helped me understand my job much better and helping me gain that confidence. I cover so many different industries every day. Within those industries, different companies, different business models, and then you have financial statement analysis in level 1 and level 2. That's really helpful in broadening out those concepts and helping me implement those concepts into my daily job. So take, for example, if I'm covering real estate, there are different topics in level 1 and level 2 that cover real estate. It's helped me understand those income statements much better.
And I guess that's a good point, isn't it? Because both of us have progressed through the same exam pathway, but we're actually sitting on very different sides of the table at LGT, because you're on the research side, focusing on equities, and I'm on the portfolio management side. So we're kind of applying our knowledge in different ways. I mean, I'd be interested to know, did you know from outset that you wanted to use the CFA and IMC to kind of progress in the equity research field, or was it open?
It's very interesting that you say that, because even in the Young Women Investments program, a lot of us are going through the same journey of taking our CFA. Some of us have already passed, some of us are doing level 2. So even in my office, a lot of the trainees who joined are going through this entire pathway. So everyone's experience has been very interesting, different, but that's what makes the CFA so interesting. It's the broad exams that can be implemented in different business areas. So it was quite interesting. And then to your point on my interest in equity research, that started a long time ago in my undergrad. And again, it was through the CFA Institute's programs. It was called the Research Challenge. It was about picking stocks, researching them, and then presenting our findings to the company's board of directors, which was quite intimidating, but it's what made it so much fun. And that's where my interest in equity research started. And then I started going down that pathway, interning in investment management firms, moving to the UK to do a master's in investments and finance, and then finding my way at LGT as an equity research analyst. So
it's really interesting, because I mean, my experience is so different, but ultimately we've done the same route. I mean, from my perspective, I really didn't know whether I wanted to go into the research side or the portfolio management side, and I think that's what I liked about kind of studying for the exams, is it really helped me to kind of finesse what it was I wanted to do. I didn't have that kind of background knowledge necessarily from university, and I actually didn't even know that much about the qualifications. So when I joined the industry, I also started on an internship program, and then I was working on a model portfolio services team, but I was working very closely with the fund research team as well. So it was, for a while, I was really unsure as to whether I would go down the research route, but doing the exams and kind of progressing through them really helped me to work that one out. So I think it's a useful experience for everybody, and I'm sure, I mean, portfolio management and equity research are two of the fields that the CFA is obviously known for, but there's a number of other job roles out there that the CFA is still very, very useful for. You do see people kind of moving throughout their careers and kind of focusing on different bits.
That's what makes the CFA so important. You have one career track in mind, but then it also allows you to see and choose other areas that you might find interesting, and it's very transferable. So I can be learning something completely different in the CFA curriculum, but I can apply it in different business areas as well. So it's very transferable. So it's definitely a skill that's very important for people who are entering the industry to have. That starts from the beginning, the IMC.
Yeah, and I think it's important, isn't it, to upskill constantly, because
Constantly, yes.
we're in a very fast-moving industry. I mean, we see just this year alone the amount of kind of news flow that we're faced with, having to deal with. But you know, even with kind of the rise of AI, and this is not an AI podcast, but you know, things change very quickly, and I guess that's one of the benefits of being able to upskill. And obviously, the CFA Society offer a range of programs, but it's never kind of too late to take on one of these qualifications in your career.
And then talking about how the industry is constantly evolving, I think the CFA curriculum evolves at the same time as well. AI is quite an important topic in the curriculum itself. So I think it's very good for people who want to take up the CFA. It's going to help you really keep up to date with whatever trend is going on in the industry. So I thought that was really, it helped me actually get a better understanding of what I was looking at, because we, as analysts, we cover different companies. You come across tech names as well. So it was quite helpful in understanding what's going on in that landscape as well. So, yeah.
That's great. So before we wrap up, any tips for somebody thinking about studying for the IMC or progressing into the CFA?
I'd say start early. You get to pace yourself better rather than cramping up too late. That helped me cover more, understand the concepts much better, practicing a lot of questions, and then also maintaining discipline. You want to be able to do well at your job while also, getting the most out of studying, and also, maintaining a good social work-life balance.
Yeah, I think mine would be exactly the same. I mean, I found that, of course, it's a test of your knowledge, but it's also a real test of your work ethic.
Exactly.
And if you're organised and you put the time in, then typically you are rewarded. And my only tiny little bit of advice would be to just, it sounds so counterintuitive, but to try and enjoy the journey. My mentor said to me very early on, try and celebrate the small wins, because it's very easy to kind of lose sight of that when you're aiming for something like the CFA.
Yes.
But actually, celebrating passing the first unit of the IMC and then the second unit is actually really worthy of recognition, because as you said, studying for exams alongside a job is no mean feat.
No, but I think it's also, you'll come across so many concepts that are going to finally make sense to you at some point. So just celebrating that in itself is going to help you be really, really motivated towards attempting these exams. Yeah. And then people think these exams are quite challenging. However, if you have the good discipline, if you start early, they end up becoming they actually become quite fun to study at some point. So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, and thank you to everybody for listening today. If you'd like to hear more about the IMC along with the CFA's other products and services, please do visit their website at cfauk.org. Finally, remember to look out for the next episode of In Conversation podcast through the usual CFA UK email and social media channels. You can also subscribe so that you don't miss an episode through the CFA UK's SoundCloud channel, Spotify or Apple Podcast. Until next time.